And please give a nice, warm, ladies and welcome to Mr. Will Saxe.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Is this thing on? My gosh, it is so nice to be back on this stage. I can't tell you about the year I've had. I'm single for the first time in a long time. That thankfully happened pre-pandemic. But I am still a little bit confused. Not so much about the single part. I think that makes sense for who I am as a person. I'm not entirely sure how I got out of my first relationship with the body of a man very clearly on his third marriage. No, I will be honest, a lot of this is a recent addition. I knew I wasn't getting out of the pandemic still in shape the day I started downloading DoorDash, deleting DoorDash, and then downloading DoorDash again the same way I do Tinder. Needless to say, I had a lot more success on DoorDash than I ever did on Tinder. So pretty clear winner there. I've been working from home for about 6 months. Most of that was spent in sales, which I gotta be honest, I did reach a point where I stopped telling people that I'm in sales, because 9 times out of 10, the next thing out of their mouths would be, oh, I could never be in sales. Raise your hand if you're guilty of saying that. I was saying that while I was still in sales. It's human nature. That's the thing though, is, I want to tell people, like, sure, you can say that, but you've already mastered the first art of sales. Repeating the same thing over and over again to someone who doesn't want to hear it. There's no such thing as an easy breakup, but mine was clean. We were sitting on the couch for the 8th night in a row, watching Game of Thrones reruns, and we kind of turned to each other at the same time and said, "So this is it, huh?" She meant season 4. I meant the relationship. I will tell you, that is a uniquely millennial experience, trying to decide if we should break up now or watch one more episode and break up after. No, I want what my parents have. They've been together for 30 plus years. Part of it, I think, is because my dad is a psychologist, my mom is a guidance counselor. I believe the basis for a good relationship is communication, so they have an unfair advantage over all of us. But I moved home after the breakup, which, it's fine enough. I figured I did it for 18 years, what's another 2? But I found that things had changed a little bit since becoming a stand-up comedian. Now every conversation at the dinner table ends with, "You gonna put that in your act?" You can use that one. And I'm polite as all heck, and I'm kind of like, yeah, that's pretty funny. And I realized recently, oh my God, I'm using the same voice on my parents that they used to use on me as a kid when they were trying to explain that I wasn't getting every toy I wanted for Christmas. Well, Santa's pretty busy this time of year. Is pretty much the same as, well, I only have 10 minutes in my set. I will tell you, growing up in that environment, I just kind of naturally assumed that psychologist, guidance counselor, I must be automatically well-adjusted. I think in more recent years I've come to understand that I'd say medium well-adjusted. I'd even go so far as to say medium rare adjusted. Prime example of that, I was hiking with some friends in the before times, and I ripped my pants. And I'll tell you, the sound of ripped pants, it's one of those noises you hear and you just immediately know you're in for a bad time. It's up there with the sound of glass breaking in another room, or an elderly relative starting a statement with, "I'm not racist, but..." But so, I wanted people to understand that I hadn't started the hike in my underwear. So I did what seemed like the most sensible thing at the time, which is I flew my ripped shorts off my backpack like some kind of khaki pirate. And we were hiking and we kept passing people, and I started feeling more and more uncomfortable. I just wanted like one person to like, you know, give a polite chuckle and acknowledge that I wasn't some kind of alpine pervert. So finally, I decided, all right, next people, I'm gonna make a joke about it. We're gonna have a laugh. But you know when you haven't said anything out loud in a really long time? And when you finally do, the voice that comes out is not your own? Like you've been possessed by some kind of awkward ghost. There was a couple coming down the trail. I stepped in front of them, made direct eye contact, and said to fellow human beings, "Mountain took my pants." That's when I went into panic mode, and I imagine so did they. So I remember thinking, uh-oh, words got me into this. They're not going to get me out. Body language, that's the key. And I did kind of this dainty twist to show them my back, and I went, eh. That's when I realized my shorts had fallen off miles down the mountain. So I took off into the woods. Now, wherever they are, I hope that couple's happy. I hope that's the anecdote they tell at parties, but I have this little hope in the back of my head that every time they go hiking, they have this tiny sense of dread that they're going to run into the pantsless mountain boy. I do feel like I've lost a little bit of credibility since becoming a stand-up. It's stories like that that seem a lot more impossible. I'd like to leave you with another one of those. I was out in Utah, of all places, in a national park. And I was on a school trip, and we were sitting down for a picnic lunch, and we watched an older, larger gentleman miss a step on the sidewalk and fall in slow motion, like a mighty redwood. And I found that when toddlers and older folks fall over, there is that microsecond of terrifying silence, where with toddlers you think, oh no, they're about to cry. With older people you think, oh no, they're dead. But so, out of nowhere, his grandson, comes up wearing, you know, a bright orange Florida Gators jersey, standard for any national park. He goes, Pappy! Pappy, what happened? Pappy, still on the ground without missing a beat, looks up, and with a voice like the mountains themselves said, I done did fail. Amazing. And finally, after the shock of him falling and the greater shock of him saying that, it's like left us. One of my teachers rushed over, still on the ground. She was like, do you need a hand? Pappy, who I've accepted is a greater comedian than I will ever be, looked at his own, looked at her, and said, I already got a pair. That's my time. Thank you very much, folks.